Well, yes, I do have with me Mr. Eric Ifere, who is the member National Prosecution Coordinating Committee. And you're also a legal practitioner.
That's very true.
You're welcome to Sunrise TV.
Thank you very much.
First of all, what does the National Prosecution Coordinating Committee do?
Well, it's a committee, as the name depicts, set up by the federal government to coordinate the prosecution of high-profile cases. An umbrella headed by the Attorney General, and we do have the DPP, we have the Solicitor General of the Federation, and we have a few other people. It's made up of a strong 20-member team. What it's supposed to do primarily is to look at cases, the one depicts as high-profile cases, and then coordinate how these cases are prosecuted, rather than having them jumbled here and there. That is the primary aim of that committee. Interesting.
So how come is it then, I mean, because we're seeing what is happening right now with the case of the judges, that the NJC has recalled judges that were suspended because there's been no prosecution going on in the cases of at least 5 of them?
Well, I just read it in the newspapers and the mass media about that, the recall. I am sure, as a member of the National Prosecution Committee, perhaps if there's any statement to that effect to be made out to inform Nigerians of what the solution is, we do have within the committee a media man who will speak on that. I don't think I'm very competent because I am not seized of the facts why these judges were let, to resume their duties. I'm not seized of those facts.
No, but I mean, yes, you might not be seized of the fact of why they were left to resume their duties, but in terms of prosecution, what's been going on, what's the delay in prosecuting the judges?
Yes, if you know about prosecution generally, it takes a long while to prosecute. Oftentimes, we mistake prosecution for persecution. And people just want these things to happen and have people put behind bars. You have to be very sure. Remember, there's a stage for investigations. You do thorough investigations. Over time, you're fed with the defense, report of the defense, the evidence of the defense, and you look through the evidence and you try to tidy up and tie up one knot or the other for the case of the prosecution. And most times, remember, the prosecutors are not the ones that carry out investigations. We got the police, we got the FCC, we got other arms of government who are involved in an investigation, of criminal cases. So until that is concluded, you cannot have prosecution. And then we also have the case of how crowded courts are. The judges are quite busy. Before these cases came, although you want to put them on the priority list, they have pending cases, part-head cases, and they sit day in, day, and we know how busy they are. It can be so burdensome. So they take their turn, and these cases will be done when the prosecution is sure at the end of the day they have a good case. Until that, or let me put it this way, not really a good case, they have a prima facie case against whoever the accused person. So it's not something we jump like monkeys and like Nigerians expect. Take them in there, jail them the next day.
Yeah, but this particular case was rather embarrassing in the sense that the federal government, I beg your pardon, security operatives had raided the home of these judges. One would have thought that perhaps that was the last line in a long string of investigations, and that shortly after, considering the sensitivity of the matter or the individuals involved, that we would have seen prosecution happen almost immediately. Excuse me, that did not happen in the cases of all the judges. And then now we're even seeing some of the judges in court. We've seen that one of the case, the defense lawyer filed a no-case submission, and he won in the Federal High Court.
Yes, I don't know where you want to shift the blame to. Are you blaming the prosecution or blaming the team investigating?
You don't think that
let me get that right.
It's not a question of blame. It's a question of what is the problem.
The problem is a very complex situation. There's a maxim that says rather than have one single person who is innocent put in prison, you can let 99 go out of 100. You have to be very careful. A lot of issues are involved in this. We're talking about the raid. Perhaps they must have had information that there could be potentially a case to be a criminal case against these people. And it's natural that they will go for the exhibits. And perhaps that's what they did. And after that, all these things will be collated. And it could be very much voluminous evidence. The prosecution will look at it, they will study it, they will file these cases. And at any point in time, they can even withdraw it. At any point they find that they don't have a good case against anybody, they can withdraw it. I think what is happening is that Nigerians should be a bit very, very patient. And patient in the sense that if we expect justice, justice is not meant for the public alone. It is not meant for the victim. It is not meant alone for whoever committed the crime. It's a tripartite thing. It is justice for the people, the public, justice for the victim, and justice for the culprit. And as such, a thorough job has to be done. I am not one of those people. I practice in England, and I know how these things go. And without trying to put blame on anybody, you need to do thorough investigation, and at the end of the day, know that you will have a good case in court. If you don't do that, you might have problems.
I'm just a little curious when you say that, you know, there has to be a thorough investigation before prosecution,
yes.
Which is where, you know, a lot of people say that we don't seem to do a thorough job of investigation before we go to prosecution. In fact, what lawyers say is that we tend to prosecute first and then begin to fish for evidence when the case is already in court.
Well, I don't really think so. I don't really think so. It is one of these setups, like what you're having in the system, the syndrome of Nigerians, which has been part of us, wanting things to happen overnight. It's a big problem. Sometimes, like you're saying now, the prosecution could be pushed into filing cases even when they are not ready. And I think that it was for that reason that this committee was set up, that we collate evidence, we study evidence, we look at even the charges. Most times, I want to inform you, charges are brought to court because sometimes they file these charges to enable them to make an application